Welcome to another episode of the Sage Holistic Show. My name is Emily Sellis and I'm your host. Today, Lisa Rose Lodeski is going to speak to us on what a soul blueprint is. She really flips the lid open on this subject, and she takes you on a surprising journey where you get to visit the Akashic Records. If you don't know what that is, she's going to explain all of that. Have a listen.
SAGE is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
So I'm a spiritual life coach. The centerpiece of my work is what's called a soul blueprint, and that's what I'm here to share with you information about today. So what is a soul blueprint? It's a container of knowledge with detailed information about your soul. The information is gathered energetically from inside your soul record, which is located in what's called the Akashic Records. You can think of the Akashic Records as an energetic database or an energetic imprint that records everything that you've ever thought, decided, took action on, every consequence in every single life you've ever had. So you can use a soul blueprint as a guide to help design your life, because by making choices that are in alignment with the characteristics of your soul, you can create a more exciting life, a more fulfilling life, more satisfying, because your soul gets to feel self-expressed in everything that you do. And when you are living in alignment with who you are at soul level, you better understand your divine nature, the one that extends beyond the physical world. You realize how you are the curator of your own contentment through all of the choices that you make. You gain clarity about your soul purpose. You know the qualities, values, and the abilities of your soul. And then you can see a way to embrace your natural gifts so that you are in service not only to yourself, but that you are in service to others. And life becomes a whole lot easier when you are the curator of your own contentment. So that's the centerpiece of my work. A soul blueprint has three parts: a soul profile, a soul record review for any blocks or restrictions from a past life or from the present that you created that are preventing you from realizing your full potential and realizing abundance, however you like to define that. And then there's an energy clearing, which effectively brings you back into alignment with your soul. And of course, I'm giving you the simplistic version of it. So let me just give you an idea of the soul profile details, right? The characteristics, the qualities, the values, the abilities that make your soul specific to you. So for example, I'll go in there and take a look at, are your characteristics of your soul divinely male, masculine, or are they female, divinely feminine? Who or what is your soul group, and what are the characteristics of souls that were originated from that particular spot in the universe? What are the characteristics? What are the divine gifts? Compassion, wisdom, love, self-expression, creation, power, order. Or is there also a soul specialization that you are here to be able to express for the benefit of others? Take a look at your soul's moments in history, right? In earth time history, physical history, where your soul felt most self-expressed, in addition to the mystery schools. And you might find that this is why you're drawn to certain architecture, art, music, words, forms of performance, colors, jewelry, fashion, right? So it all resides here in the soul record. I can identify and find it for you. I can see how many spirit guides you have, how many of them are positive and how many of them are negative and need to be released. We can take a look at what your primary life lesson is, what your intuitive ability is currently, and also how you best manifest. So that's the profile part. And as you can tell, it's a huge, huge amount of information. And oftentimes when people take a look at it and they read it, they recognize themselves, and they also recognize how they have allowed themselves to remain lost and stuck by not accepting that which is divinely theirs. So they'll recognize themselves, oh, that's why I want to do that. I'm wearing leopard today. I actually thought should I wear leopard on the camera, or should I just wear blue like everyone says to wear and not wear white and black? And I thought, you know what? No, my soul likes leopard and glitter, and that's where I'm going to be, because I'm going to be in alignment. See, so that is a choice. Before, I was involved in this kind of work that I would have really talked myself, my ego, my mind, would have talked myself out of wearing what I wanted to wear. So I would feel how I want to feel, and I would conform. Right? So that's one of the beautiful things that happen when you realign yourself to your soul. You completely accept that you're different, and that you celebrate those differences for yourself. Then I go and I look for the blocks and restrictions. I look in the soul record for blocks and restrictions. Here's where I can discover if you're making choices that are in alignment with your soul's nature or not, and to what degree. What choices were made in past lives that continue to cause problems for you today. What choices did you make in a past or in the present life that took you out of soul alignment? And is there a block present that wasn't even caused by you alone? Perhaps it's an agreement between souls. It might be a soul contract, or it might be something other. Maybe it was something that was projected at you, a spell, a curse, a negative thought form, and an anger spirit. And these are jargony words that come out of the tradition that I'm working in. The list of potential blocks and restrictions is just huge, naturally. What I'm looking for when I go into the soul record are those decisions and choices and actions that the soul made that took it out of alignment, and consequently are contributing to struggles, dissatisfaction, maybe feeling of being stuck, or maybe actually being stuck, repetitive patterns that keep coming, and no matter what you do, you can't get them to break. Or maybe simply wanting more from life. You know that there's something more. I look for clues in the soul story. So as an intuitive, I can go in and say, okay, what happened? No, really, what happened? I want to see the story like a movie. And so I end up getting that information. That's the hardest part of my work, because I have to, the grabbing of the information is available. Once you know how to do that, you can get it. The hard part is putting it all together. What goes with what? What piece goes with which past life? What goes with the present life? But once you get it, the beautiful thing about it is that you can demonstrate for the client the witnessing of choice and consequence. And in that moment comes this realization that you have all the power, right? As Dorothy said when she hit the ruby slippers. So that realization alone can begin to change everything. So when you know the details of your soul, you become self-empowered, and you have the courage to create change, right? So inside a soul blueprint session with me, I do the work. I do the work in advance. I do the work in the Akashic Records in advance of the session with my client. It takes me between 4 to 6 hours to do one, depending on how many blocks and restrictions there are, and how difficult it is for me to go in there and grab the soul stories. Then I initiate the energetic clearing in the Akasha. The Akasha does the clearing. I'm just the delivery girl. Then I deliver the PDF by email, and my client will read it a couple of times, come up with some questions, maybe not understand something that was in there. Then we meet, and the meeting is not only for Q&A, but to take a practical approach to applying the information that was learned from the soul record, right? So that's that. All the rest is kind of interesting and entertaining and fun, but without a practical application, it doesn't really serve its function. So there's add-ons, right? There's a whole lot of work that you can do in the Akasha. Everything starts with the soul blueprint, and then from there we build on it. We can take a look at your spirit guide profiles and do spirit guide channeling. So just like I create a soul profile for my client, I can create one about their individual spirit guides. Well, who are they? Why are they there? How do they serve? How do they try to communicate with you? What is their role? When were they acquired? Are they still there, and are they serving a positive role, or are they serving something negative and they need to be released? So we can also do channeling from there. I can take a look at how you best manifest, because if you're not manifesting in alignment with your soul, you could be manifesting a whole lot of nothing. And if you shift into manifesting in alignment with your soul, the way that your soul best manifests, then things become much easier and you manifest more quickly. Relationships, we can open up 2 soul records at the same time. mother and child, husband and wife, coworkers, family members, and we can take a look at why they're here together at the same time. What is it that they're here to learn from each other and to teach each other and to experience together. You can take a look at your life situations. For example, maybe the pool keeps breaking on every week there's a problem with the pool. Nobody seems to be able to understand what's going on with the pool. Spend a whole lot of money trying to repair the pool. And then we go in the soul record and we find out that the pool is just a metaphor for something else in life that's really happening. Energy is energy. And so as you are manifesting these other issues, right, the energy is creating problems. And the way that they're trying to get your attention is by the pool breaking. Hard to believe, but it's actually something that happens regularly. And on and on and on, right? So we can take a look at the future. The way that you look at the future in the Akashic Records is in terms of possibility and probability based on the choices that were made thus far that create a trajectory that goes into the future. So we can take a look at that, the energy of that trajectory, and then we can measure it in probability. And then as you make new choices, that trajectory changes and gets you closer to maybe where it is that you want to be in the future. So you can conscientiously take a look at how you're doing. We can also take a look at business and finance. Believe it or not, businesses have their own Akashic record. It's an energetic imprint of the energy that goes through the business. You can do the same thing with finances in the same way that you can look in relationships. So I do this work as a soul blueprint as like a one-off session, so it's one time. A lot of people are curious. And then those that are really interested in going through the arc of transformation and aligning with their soul so that they are making choices that are more authentic and more truly with who it is they are, the essence of who they are, beyond the thinking mind and the learning and the training. Then usually they go into a coaching program with me, and that's 90 days. So I thought if we have a few minutes, it'd be fun if I just take you to the Akashic Record and you get to experience your soul, okay? Who you are at soul level. And I'll do it fairly in a very abbreviated form so that you can get the experience. I'm going to do it in a really fun way, okay? So you're going to have to engage your imagination here. So I'm going to go on a journey to the Akashic Record. We're going to really just enter briefly for the purpose of experiencing your soul. And then you will describe your soul, in 3 words or less. You could use descriptive words to describe your soul. But I want you to experience your soul, who you are at soul level. You as a soul is probably the best way to describe it. So let's all just close our eyes and take a breath in together and out. Do that again. In and out. Engage your imagination and picture yourself in the front row of a ride, a roller coaster, the tilt-a-whirl, a wheel of some sort of ride, but you're in the front row. So you have an unobstructed view of what's coming. Now we're going to take off. We're going through the roof and we're going past the sky. We're going beyond the clouds. We're headed into the universe. We see the ink black sky. The stars are speeding past. And in the distance, we can see what looks like a tapestry. A beautiful tapestry. And it's getting bigger as we get closer, and it's getting bigger, and it's getting bigger. And we begin to slow down as we arrive in front of the tapestry, just like a boat pulling into a dock gently. And we'll come to a stop, and we'll get out. And a guide, an Akashic Record guide, comes forward, and we're going to announce our arrival. We would like to sense our soul. Sense ourselves as a soul. So in your own mind, say your legal name now, your legal name now, your birth name, your birth date, and the place where you were born on earth. And then face the tapestry and watch as the tapestry lights up. Every thread in the tapestry represents an experience that your soul has had. Every thread. And you can see that there's probably 1 million of them. Stand back and just take a look at the tapestry. Take it all in. And while you're standing here, notice any sensations you feel. Anything at all. They could be emotions, they could be physical sensations on your body. There could be pictures that are meandering through your mind. And just experience these. And you're experiencing something from yourself at soul level. And with purpose, have the intention to experience yourself as a soul rather than a human. And so the time has come to begin to return. Our process is to call the record guide back and announce that we're going to be leaving. And we thank you for the information and the experience for entering the record. Go ahead and climb back into the ride. Buckle your seatbelt or hang on. And we are going to begin to return in reverse. We're coming back, and you can watch the stars passing you in the other direction. And it speeds up, and the stars are going faster and faster as we return. When we come back to where we're seated. You take a breath and go out and open your eyes and describe yourself as a soul in 3 descriptive words. For example, my soul is sparkly and it's very positive and it likes to be organized. And then you can ask yourself a question while you were there in front of the tapestry. What is it that you know more about your soul now than you did before we began? Now, for some of you, you got there instantly. You were able to sense your soul. You were able to gather that information, maybe even more. And for some of you, nothing may have happened. You may have just been listening to my voice and nothing happened. Right? So perhaps working in the Akasha isn't your best modality, right? Might be something else. It might be shamanism. It might be intuition. It might be tarot. It might be something else. So don't feel bad if nothing happened for you, right? And I'll take questions.
Like, where to start? I don't know. That was really cool. I guess it's my thing is just it's cool.
Can we just do this on our own? Basically, like do exactly what you just kind of put us through, and maybe like meditation. Okay.
Sure. I mean, that was just so that you could sense yourself as a soul, right? So when you get to that point, then it's easier to be able to actually work in the soul space, to do soul work. Then you can eventually go to the Akasha. For those of you that are interested, I created something called Journey to Your Soul Record, where it's a guided meditation, and I take you in a different way. This is one way, right? Where I took you very, very quickly. We really engaged our natural intuitive abilities to be able to receive the vibrations of what was coming, the information that was coming to us. Our bodies are intuitive instruments. We're born with it. You've got it already. Whether you use it or not is up to you. So that's one way that you can receive this kind of information, even in the 5th dimension. And the other is that you can just, you can follow situations. Like the other one for Journey to Your Soul Record, and I use a divine library, because almost everyone has been to a library, unless you're under 25 and you've never walked in and Google is your only resource. But most of us have been to a bookstore or a library, and it just kind of makes it easier to wrap your head around the largeness of what it is that you're trying to approach. The Akasha is massive. It's massive. So it's not the kind of work you want to go in there and just have a look around. it's overwhelming. It's too much. You won't make sense of it. So it's better if you know why you're going, what it is that you're looking for when you go in, asking questions in a certain way. Open-ended questions are better than closed questions when you're working with your soul, because oftentimes the soul is responding from the perspective of the soul. It is not responding from your perspective as a human in your limited time on planet Earth. Right? Your soul has a big journey, and sometimes those were in incarnations, and sometimes they are not. The soul has a big life that sometimes has nothing to do with being in a human body.
Mm.
You know, so you could actually have huge amounts of time that were spent engaged as a spirit, helping others on that level. And that is a life, but they don't consider it a human life. This body begins and it ends, and the spirit absolutely does not. Right? So the way that I think about it is there's the great universe. Everything that is attached. The soul is plugged into that. The soul drops a spirit to do some work. Sometimes that spirit is in a body, right? And sometimes the spirit is just without a body working around. But everything goes back and is attached to the soul. This is why the information is in the soul record. Every experience is recorded in the soul record. This right now, what we're doing right now, in our soul record.
Mm.
So everything's there.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share that I've been on high stress, all that. And I carry it in my jaw, like my jaw, I wake up in the morning and I have a headache and my jaw is sore from clenching. And when we went through that little, I don't know if you call it meditation or that soul journey. I mean, my jaw is unlocked now. Like it's like I feel like I'm having to okay, close now. Like I was just so tense that, and I don't know if I felt what I was supposed to feel, but I felt a fluidity, and whatever that was just kind of helped me to release everything that was right here. And I'm just kind of floored by it because I haven't been able to release that in weeks. Thank you for that. It's pretty cool. I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts. Just
You're welcome. I'm happy for you, and you can do it again.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to learn more. Like, are there books of the specific kind of thing, or like teachers that you'd recommend?
Yeah, well, you can learn from me. So I'm one teacher. I'm mostly a practitioner, but I do teaching. See, my methodology is a blend. You know, I've studied with lots of teachers. My very first teacher who introduced me to the Akashic Records is Sonia Choquette, who is a world-renowned Hay House author on the topic of intuition development and spirit guides, and working as a sixth sensory. I studied with her for years. Both in her workshops and privately. I also took a look at Linda Howe's work. And her work is interesting. Didn't quite resonate with me because I'm an intuitive. So for me, engaging my intuitive abilities was just quicker and more accurate. I also love Andrea Hess's work. I've done a lot of studying with her. She's very methodical, right? So not very methodical. And then, of course, I'm a Reiki master, so I do everything in the Reiki field because the Reiki field creates a great energetic boundary. It allows me clarity. It allows me assistance and support from the highest and best sources for me when I need it. And with that combination, some people throw a little bit of shamanism in there, right? They do soul retrieval through shamanic work as part of their work in the Akasha. So you kind of have to figure out what works best for you rather than, whose exact protocol should I use, and then you will be very accurate.
Lisa, I wanted to jump in and ask a question too, and I know we're getting near the end. That was such a beautiful experience. I was very much able to visualize all of that, and even like a guide, it was really surprising in the tapestry. But for me, I got to the point where I'm like, I can't quite make out like what it is that is on the tapestry, but I could see it like lighting up in gold and like, opalescent colors, and it was beautiful. But I wonder, like, what do you say for your people that you work with where you get to a place like that and then it's a little bit blocked? I don't know if that would be a block or like a barrier to the information?
Well, first, we didn't go in and ask any questions, so you don't really know if you weren't able to get any information.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so, yeah, so what we did is we went there to experience ourselves just as a soul. When you actually enter into the record, then you can actually pull the record to answer certain things. You know, like, for example, I might say, what is the best way for me to prepare myself so that I can attract my next lover to me? You know, the one that's going to work this time, you know? so then the Akasha will lay out for me how I can best do that, and I will begin to receive that information. How you receive the information is different from person to person. So some people will receive the information like they'll see it like a movie in their head. They'll actually see pictures. Other people will hear it. Other people, it will be a series of sensations, you know, on their body. For others, the information might not come right there when you're standing and working in the Akasha, but it might start to show up in the dream state. You might get snippets of it in a dream, or you might begin to hear lyrics from music, songs on the radio, and it sounds like they're speaking to you about that, you know? So it depends. It depends. Sometimes you can taste it and you can smell it, or it might be a combination of those things. Oftentimes you'll get a piece of the information, and then you make some decisions and some choices. Remember what I said before, when you make a decision or a choice, what happens? The trajectory changes instantly. And so now you can go back into the Akasha and say, well, now that I've made this particular change, now what is the best way for me to take the next step? There's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can either do it through the process of deduction, you know, or you can just, you know, where you're starting with open questions and then working down to the yes and no's. Or you can start, if you're very specific, you can start with the yes and no. You know, in other words, should I take this road or that road? No, probably shouldn't go this way. You had more opportunities this way. I don't really suggest doing it that way because sometimes no means no, not now. I suggest doing it in a much more with an open-ended question. Oftentimes people show up at the Akashic record. What are they really showing up for? They want confirmation of what they already believe and they think and what they desire. They're looking for confirmation. It's the same reason they go to psychics. That's why. And it's not until you open yourself up that there is something much bigger, larger, better for you, and your soul and universe know what that is, and that know it better than your mind, that you open yourself up to the possibility of something more, something different. That's when the magic happens.
Lisa, I had a quick question. Are you based in Orange County?
Yes, I live in Aliso Viejo.
Oh, good neighbors then.
Yeah, I should say I live in Aliso Viejo now, because for 10 years I lived in Hawaii, California, and Europe. So I moved. I was on the move.
That's a beautiful combination.
Yeah, so you know, being in one place for a long time is a little new for me.
I understand.
But you
Thank
are
you.
also working remotely. I want to tell everyone too, like I've worked with Lisa. Yeah, I've worked with Lisa.
I primarily work online. My practice used to be in person. I used to give workshops, you know, like at the sanctuary in Tustin, and, you know, like the community center, and here in my home. And then when I also traveled a lot, so I was, my show was on the road. I would see people in Switzerland and in France and, you know, wherever I happened to be. And then people started asking me and say, well, I can't come to your workshop in California. Can't you just do something online? So about 5 years ago, I decided that I would switch my practice and I would go global and just be accessible this way. And, you know, it's the tech part that you have to really spend time and money on. And once you get that set, then it's, well, how can I make a really intimate experience, you know, virtually in this way? I'm extremely comfortable on video, if you haven't noticed. So, for me, it's pretty easy. And I can tell you where that comes from. That comes from when I was a little girl. My grandparents lived far away. And in the 1960s, my father bought an 8mm movie camera. And he used to sit it on the kitchen counter, and I would stand there and I would tell Grandma everything that was happening to me that week. And then when we would go to visit them on the holidays, my father would roll the films for the whole year. So I don't like having my picture taken. Isn't that strange? But turn on the camera and I'm very comfortable. So it ended up being a good medium for me, but not until the technology was at a certain point that you didn't need to be a computer coder, to be able to create your existence.
Right.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.